Welcome back, everybody, to Freedom on Deck, 94.9 News Now and Stimulating Talk. You're rocking with the best. Me, Chet Martin, Redneck Brian Bro.
Oh, here I am.
Connecticut, Long Island, and Rhode Island. Don't forget to go to FreedomOnDeck.com. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Follow us on the Twitterverse. Subscribe to our BitChute. Subscribe to our YouTube. Look at all our terrestrial backtracks and our midweek podcast that's not featured here on WJJF. That's where we get more raw. You think I'm bad on terrestrial radio. Okay, so listen. Our first guest of the day is running for state rep of the 39th District. In New London, her message is to get Connecticut's finances back on track and make Connecticut a more affordable place to live and run a business. Kat Goulart. Kat, welcome to Freedom on Deck.
Thank you so much for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Before we get started, where can everyone go and donate in order to help send you to Hartford, Kat?
Oh, well, we've got the link on our Facebook page, and if you search for Kat for New London on Facebook, you'll find it, or go to facebook.com/Kat4NL.
All right, so let's hit the questions here.
All right.
What pushed you to decide to run for state rep of the 39th?
Oh, a lot. First and foremost, someone has to step up and help the city. Democrats have held this seat for over 40 years. It's not been serving us well, and we need someone who will stand up for us and not just go along to get along. I've been active in the community for a really long time, and it just seemed like the right time for me. I'm on the Economic Development Commission, Police Community Relations Committee. I coach baseball. I do community outreach with FBI New Haven through their Citizens Academy Alumni Association. I'm really out there, and I have a very intimate knowledge of what this community needs, and I'm excited to bring that to a state level and get what we need from the state back to New London.
Very good. Give our listeners a glimpse at some of your qualifications to become the 39th state rep.
Oh boy, let's see. Well, we talked about my involvement on the Economic Development Commission. That gives me a really, really good insight, and I've been working with that commission for a while on what the financial woes are and what the developmental issues are in New London. I'm a business owner, so I know what it's like to balance a budget and have to worry about money going out versus money coming in. And as we know, that's always a problem in Connecticut. So I'd like to take the skill set and the skills that I have built up over these last few years, working in the community and getting to know the city, and apply those towards this job.
Kat, how do you plan on making New London more affordable? And what will you do to ensure that businesses stay and new businesses are created and thrive in New London?
Well, first and foremost, I'm sure we've all heard it, Governor Lamont has suggested a whole bunch of new taxes on the residents. We're talking groceries, medication, tolls. I know tolls aren't technically a tax, but, really, it's more money out of our pockets. I will say no to all of those things. Though more money out of our pockets hurts working families. And if our families aren't doing well, if we don't have any expendable income in this city, businesses will not come here because they can't survive. So first and foremost, we need someone who will say no to all of those new tolls and dipping into our pockets more. And then someone also that will work to get the state to reduce its spending. That is another huge problem we have.
Are you sick of talking about tolls yet?
No, I'm not, because I want to say and shout from the rooftops, we do not want tolls.
Well, I think you'll be popular with that. That seems to be a bipartisan idea right there. We have Kat Goulart, and she's running for state rep in the 39th District for New London. Now, Kat, it's called a non-taxable property in New London. The state has set up, and correct me if I'm wrong, pilot payment in lieu of taxes. Now, what's your stance on pilot and why?
Well, we need the pilot money. New London's a small city. We have a lot of individual properties, and just about half of those properties are not taxable. They're owned by churches, by the state, by any number of nonprofit entities. So that leaves only 50% of us footing the bill for everything else. Now, how the state makes up for that with hospitals, universities, and state-owned properties is this pilot money. So they're supposed to give us 70% of what would normally be paid in taxes back to the city. We're not getting that. So there's problem number one. And what we are getting is peanuts. And what that does is it creates a deficit from the city's budget, and then the city has to raise taxes. So our mill rate has been going up and up and up. And quite frankly, with having a Democrat in this position forever, in a state where we've had a Democrat governor for a number of years, everybody is just kind of playing ball with each other, and nobody's fighting. Nobody has stood up for New London and said, hey, you're required to give us this money. We want it now.
And it's kind of scary with Lamont being elected, and the first thing he comes in talking about is taxing groceries and medications. I mean, that's not what New Londoners need. Now, I want to talk about the Democrat on the other side of the ticket. He's a police officer, correct, or was?
He is a police officer currently, and he's also a seated city councilor.
Okay, so that goes along a line with my question. Should active police officers also be politicians? And does he have time to do both or all three, as you just described?
Yeah, well, in my opinion, no. And the tone out on the street is, first of all, how is someone going to have time to do all of these things? But also, that is an awfully big voice to give to any one person. The whole idea about democracy in our republic is that we get multiple voices coming to the table to help come to one decision. And when there's one person speaking for all of those agencies and all of those people, a lot of people have an issue with that. And then we're also bringing in the time component to it. How do you do all of those things and still do them well? Now, I'm a business owner. I have the ability to be able to dedicate that time and adjust my schedule as needed to work really, really hard for New London. And I hope that I get the opportunity to do that.
Kat, with the radical taxation that we talked about, the state Dems are pushing, along with the electioner of Governor Lamont, how do you plan on standing up for the middle class in New London while working alongside the very Democrats that look to push for another agenda? Working alongside on the other side of the aisle is going to be kind of tough, isn't it?
Yes and no. I've been doing it for a number of years anyway. You don't live in a deep, dark blue state and a deep, dark blue city as a Republican and not learn how to get along with people and how to compromise.
Why are your ideas on improving the public school system any better than the Democrats for New London?
Well, that is the question of the hour. New London, again, is very heavily reliant on state funds. And as it pertains to half of our budget, which is the school system budget, we get those ECS, it's the Education Cost Sharing Grant. And our school system is devastated without it. And, so far what we've had the last few years is just somebody that says, hey, pretty please, can we get this money? And then we're biting our nails down to the last minute to make sure that our kids are going to have enough. We're going to have enough money to give our kids a decent education. We need someone, and I will be that someone, who will fight for every last penny for our kids. And I still maintain that we can do that without putting in tolls and without taxing our groceries.
Now, New London has a problem with infrastructure. You have any ideas to fix that issue?
Well, we touched on that a little bit. On Wednesday, Governor Lamont came down and he did a press conference regarding the state pier. And, supposedly, according to the press conference, we're going to start seeing some money from the state on, because of the wear and tear from the pier traffic on our roads, and that we could help start to improve our infrastructure. But I have to be honest with you, we have a funding problem in New London, and unless we can get someone who will get every single last penny from the state, we'll never be able to improve that infrastructure. So, unfortunately, it's not a one-stop job or one little problem. It's a multifaceted issue. But we need to be able to get that state money again so that we can make those necessary repairs here.
Well, one of the things you touched on was New London's reliance on Pilot. And New London, a lot of people outside, unless you've been to New London, is only 5 square miles, correct?
Yes, give or take. And,
So
and some of that's water.
right, so it hasn't much taxable property, so it's got to be hard on schools and kids anyway.
It is incredibly hard, and every year our councils struggle with how to make sure that we're funding everything, and not overburdening the taxpayer. But without fail, every year our taxes go up because every year the money we get from the state goes down, and that has to stop.
I'm sure you're out there meeting and greeting, shaking hands. What
Oh yeah.
are you hearing people saying, I have to leave New London, I can't afford it anymore?
Yes, a lot of people. It's not something that's unique to any one neighborhood or any economic class. There are people with really large houses down by the water that are for sale. There are renters here that can't even withstand, a smaller increase than it would be on a large home, but a smaller tax increase on their cars. People are strapped, and I'm no different than anyone else.
Right.
I feel the pinch as well.
And what do you tell those people? Do you tell them, we can fix this, we can turn it around, don't leave? Because when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you know as well as anybody else that can become a pretty big mountain to climb week by week, let alone year by year.
It really, really is. And my message to people over these last couple of years, and even now in this campaign, has been consistent. And it's been to stay here, keep fighting, and vote for the people who will do a good job for you in office, not just for your party, not just for their own personal concerns, but someone that says the right things and has a track record of doing the right things for their city, for their neighbors, and for their community.
All right, most important question of the day. Super Bowl Sunday. It's coming up. First of all, are you a football fan, and who is going to win? Let's see if you know the teams. Do you know the teams that are involved?
I'm not a football person. However,
okay,
I did see something about the Patriots. And
yeah.
If they lost the Super Bowl, that they would be the losingest team in Super Bowl history. Am I right?
I don't know about that, but they'd be the well, he also has 5 rings, so I don't know if that really matters, does it?
No, come on. Super Bowl is Super Bowl. Hey, send me to the Super Bowl, and I'll lose, and I'll just be happy to have been there.
I think the voters want to hear you say the Patriots are going to win.
Of course Patriots are going to win.
I had to get it in there. So the prediction from Kat Goulart is the New England Patriots. And don't forget, folks, she's running for state rep in the 39th district in New London, and it's very important that you go and donate. Kat, give everybody that website where they can go donate again, please.
All right. The link is right on our Facebook page, and it is facebook.com/cat4nl.
Everybody, that was Kat Goulart. Make sure you go out and make your vote heard. It's very important. Connecticut's got to get back on its feet, and being complacent is not going to do it for you. But listen, come back to FOD. Trump is promoting Bible studies back in our public schools. We're going to discuss whether this is a violation on the separation of church and state, and give you some reasons why it's a good idea. Come on back to Freedom on Deck.